top of the league, Spitzenreiter. Well, we enjoyed it as long as it lasted. Because as we record right now, Bayern Munich is leading 5-0 and they reclaim the top of the spot of the league. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it was a beautiful party that we had, especially in the second half. Welcome to Bulls and Red. And a very warm welcome to Bulls and Red. This is your RB Leipzig podcast from Leipzig. We're at home at Leipzig. And this one is made for you guys, wherever you are on this planet. Today is a brief episode, so I'd like to welcome Richard. Richard, how are you today?
Hey Mario, I'm fine. We are finally back on the dark side of the calendar year. Daylight saving time no more.
Feels like 9 o'clock.
This day was... I loved it. It was longer than last Sunday, but somehow this was gone within seconds. I don't know. I slept too much today, but I'm good to go and looking forward to our show.
Let's go. Well, both of us were in the stadium yesterday, although we didn't see each other. We had different perspectives into the match. And I must tell you, I'm going to play you 3 clips. And I like to play them to you because after the first half, which was kind of difficult, we never expected to have emotional moments like this. So here we go. Let's roll the tape. And that was particularly joyful because Willi Orban scored, the captain, after Henrichs broke through to the baseline and kind of sneaked the ball in. And Willi scored the equalizer just after halftime. And there was more. Notice how we make up our own version of Gertruda. It's Gertruda. And this is his last name, how it's going to be now. Beautiful. His first goal that he scored for us. He finally had the courage to get to the other half of the opponent, all the way to the box, and he scored a blinder. Beautiful to watch. And then the climax, Mr. Goalpanda. So there you have it. The final score was 3-1, and after a really difficult first half, during halftime, Xaver Schlager was actually interviewed by Tim Töke, and he predicted that RB Leipzig would turn things around and win 3-1. Xaver Schlager, you are an effing genius, I must say. Get well soon and come back. Then we don't have to suffer the first halves like we did on Saturday. So brilliant stuff. In the end, it worked out really well. We ended up at the top spot of the league, but now we're sitting there in second place, alongside Bayern München. Richard, how did you see things? Why did RB Leipzig actually manage to turn it around, especially when Pete Gulaschi had to leave the pitch after halftime?
Well, in the first half, it was like the team is missing our number 10, Xavi, because there was so much passing, not north and south, not vertical play, but east and west, and especially in our own third of the pitch. And I was like, oh, come on, somebody has to step up here and take the duties. It wasn't really bad, even in the beginning. Bear in mind that Henriks had this, somehow missed setup. He had this ball in the penalty box and couldn't find Nusa with the pass over 3 meters. So that would have been a nice chance, maybe the early go-ahead goal. But afterwards, Freiburg getting stronger and stronger. Had that chances, not much of them, but the chances they had were quite good. And I thought after half an hour, things changed a bit. Somehow we found our second gear. It was especially Baumgartner who stepped up and showed up in the attacking third, and Campbell tried to run around and put himself into places where he can create something to score goals or creating chances at least. And obviously with the beginning of the second half, the early equalizer helped a lot. So Willi Orban does it miraculously like a Woolcross striker. He stayed in the sequence, did not consider going into the defense after it was a free kick, I think, that was cleared, but stayed in the very first row, and then he just touched it a little bit by the outside of his very last toe. And it was classy, and a little bit of luck. The ball went through the legs of the defender and then past the goalie, but that helped, and that somehow unleashed our strengths. And afterwards, from SC Freiburg didn't came much. Our defense worked their asses off like every match. Very stable, very solid performance again. And the few shots they were taken, and I noted that on my little sheet here, were all of them in the second half came outside the penalty box. So interesting.
That's not what you predicted.
We managed to but in the first half it was the other way around. So Freiburg had 3 clear chances within the penalty box, but after the change of the sides, Freiburg didn't get into our penalty box, at least not with dangerous stuff to bring up. And the balls that were shot to our net, it couldn't have been better for Martin van der Voort, because all of them, especially the early ones, was so easy to catch. And you don't want to bring your new keeper that came in. Well, it seemed like he wasn't even aware of this just before he had to enter the pitch.
But no, because it happened, did suffer an injury he got hit when Freiburg scored. That's where they hit his ankle, and he managed to play in the first half, but at the beginning of halftime, he actually signaled that he can't play anymore. But I have to say, there was a bit of astonishment in the stadium. I think you've probably felt this way as well. That, oh my gosh, why is Gulaschi leaving? And is it gonna be another long-term injury? But then I was really curious to see Martin. I was really curious about it, so I didn't really mind. But I agree with you, it was so important that he secured those first few balls in the way he did, and you could feel the relief in the stadium and everybody being determined to support him, to push him, and to give him the security, hey, that you're going to be great. And I think his performance actually improved during the second half, and I have no worries about our 2 goalies, none whatsoever. And I do believe Martin will be the number 1 in due course.
Yeah, someday.
Someday.
It seems like seems like obviously. Well, this guy seems so tall between the posts. I don't think that he's that much taller, even if even if he should be taller than Pete Gulaschi. He's 1 meter 95, and there was one, and I think it was the. I'm not quite sure. It was a shot from Dingshi that came out of the penalty box like 20 yards, and it went right over the crossbar, and he touched his hand with the crossbar, and I was like, oh, okay. He just looked right over the crossbar. It seemed as if his head were over the crossbar at that point, and I was like, come on, you're serious? You're that tall? Obviously, my view wasn't quite good to judge this correctly, but anyway, he is so much. He expresses so much confidence in all of his actions and so much quietness. So that I was with a colleague of mine, and I told him, hey, it seems like he has a Schilddrüsenunterfunktion. Don't know what this is in English, but some medical issue where you like don't really care about what's around you. You just do your thing.
He's very calm and collective.
Very calm. I must say, and it was a way better football match than I expected. Yeah. Not only from our lads, but from Freiburg as well. And I'm satisfied with the outcome. It was a nice afternoon, 20 degrees. Beer was tasty. Football was good. Good mood all the way around. So thank you, RB Leipzig, for that beautiful afternoon.
But coming back to Martin, that Pete Gulaschi has this top-notch statistics in the Bundesliga. He's Mr. 90%. What do you think is going to be installed for Martin?
For now, it's Mr. 100%. So you just received an upgrade. You just received an upgrade now, seriously. Well, I think it was Jurgen Klopp who was talking about the world's best number 2, their goalie in Liverpool, Kelleher.
Yeah.
Arguably, maybe he's not right anymore, right? I think Martin van der Voort is up to take the challenge in that position, becoming the world's best number 2, and maybe one day world's best number 1.
And I'm sure will be. So I got a lot of optimism, and I'm looking forward to that. Wonderful. So that was a beautiful afternoon, and I would like to end this section just with an audible way of showing you how the team celebrated with the fans after the match. So yeah, they were lining up in front of the home supporters, and it was that typical wave that we've done. So beautiful. Thank you very much, guys. What a fight. What a win. And Xaver Schlager, you are a genius. Now, that was the nice part about it, but I'd like to have a little rant, if I may, today. Remember when we played Liverpool and it was the 90th minute, there were 5 minutes of stoppage time announced. RB Leipzig was only down by 1 goal. And yes, RB Leipzig was not the superior team, but they were fighting, they were trying, and there were there were chances, and it could have gone the other way. They could have drew with a little bit of luck. And I saw loads of people sneaking out. Loads of people were leaving the stadium in that crucial moment during this time when you really need to support your team. So that I didn't like watching. And it was kind of topped yesterday, after the first half, which was hard to watch. And especially if your expectations are sky high, it was hard to watch. But listen, guys, since the Union game, that was the first really difficult half to watch in the Bundesliga, to be honest. Augsburg was better, and in other games where RB Leipzig succeeded, that was better as well. So I don't have any sympathy for all those people who were whistling and booing when the team left the pitch, only being down by 1 goal, 45 minutes to go, with a lot of players, key players who were injured, but you could see that they were fighting, giving their best, and they created chances in the first half. All you need to do is take a deep breath, stay silent, leave your seat or your stand, get yourself a beer, calm down, and just support the team in the second half. If it doesn't work, well, you're free to whistle and boo however much you like after the match, but not during the match like this. Okay, guys, if you don't like it, stay at home. I'd rather have a stadium with 30,000 people instead of 45,000, and I have 30,000 people who support the team, even during difficult times like that, than 45,000 and a whole bunch of not so nice people react that way. So here's my rant. Thank you. Moving on swiftly, Richard. Oh, Richard, I got one more question for you. How do you like that new jingle after they scored?
I thought you know to ask. Well, it's the topic today on social media. Okay, no one's talking about the injury of Pete. No one's talking about the performance of our lads or Martin van der Voort. No. What about the new goal jingle?
They did it on purpose to deflect.
Well, I have to admit, I was irritated. First, I was like, okay, this is a new one? Because, I don't join the stadium regularly like you do. So I wasn't quite sure if all the others that are usually in the stands are used to it, but obviously not, so it's a new one. And, well, when I was in the stands, I was like, that doesn't fit really good. But I watched the game today in real life, and I was like, why not? It's nice, it's cool, it's catchy, and somehow, in a way, since the Cup Final 2022, related to the club. So, kind of tradition, right?
I must admit, but it's copycat, because it's also the jingle they play when the ice hockey club in Frankfurt, Die Löwen, score. Same thing. So it's bloody copycats, nothing original. Plus, you could argue that the tune is kind of had its days. There's this process, or there's this tradition of starting that one 15 minutes before kickoff. So I think we can still keep that. That's great, because that gives a last push to the team and the supporters. But when they score, I'm sticking with I feel good. Dip.
You might read it today from the, it wasn't the RP admin, I think it was Philipp Hinze, who was on Twitter, on X, and he posted that the new goal jingle was introduced by the team. It was a wish from the team.
Doesn't matter.
A change.
That's great. Doesn't matter. We have to accept it. They should talk to us first. Damn it.
I pay around 300 and something euros for my season ticket. I want to be involved. That's what you get. That's what you get when you join clubs like that, where there are no members allowed and don't allow to be part of those important decisions. Okay,
exactly.
Those things would never happen in a traditional football club.
Never ever. Anyways, let's close the subject. I think this is just really interesting, and let's look at what's coming to us at us on Tuesday. A bunch of pirates, isn't it?
Introducing our next opponent, their Gegnercheck.
A bunch of pirates. Once again. I don't know, what's this in English? In German we say déjà vu, and I think in English it's almost the
same. Vu.
Déjà vu. Okay, it's pronounced in English, thank you. We met them on September 22nd in our infamous 0-0 draw. It was the second back-to-back 0-0 draw. We played back in those days after we played 0-0 versus Union that week before. And it was arguably one of our worst matches in the young history, or at least in this season. And St. Pauli had quite good chances, right? Especially with headers. I remember that their captain, I think it's an Irvine is his name, this Australian guy, who had the header from like 8 yards out after 10-15 minutes would have led to an early go-ahead goal, and somehow he headed it over the crossbar. The goal wasn't empty, but there was a point-blank range to put this one at least on target. So lucky lads of our side that time. And St. Pauli, seems like they are hard to beat. So, they lost 5 of their very first 8 games, but they didn't lose against Wolfsburg this weekend. 0-0 draw. Cool. Quite interesting that they are playing 0-0 twice, just as we did. And their attacking department is really harmless. The most harmless of the whole league. Only 5 goals they scored so far. But be aware, all of them came on away games. They scored once in Dortmund, and it should have been another goal. I watched that game. It was a Friday night game, and I was like, okay, Dortmund should never win this one.
I remember. I watched it too.
Yeah, they scored one in Augsburg, and of course, we talked about in our last episode, they scored 3 times, and they only win this season at Freiburg. So all of those goals came on away games, and now that they are our guests, it's a away game for them again. So beware.
Really?
Pretty much of the most of the time. So
Okay.
they're parking the bus, so in the very last line, but when they recover the ball, they don't play the long ball on purpose every time.
Mhm.
They're looking for options. This is what they do. And when there's a long ball option, they play them. It's quite okay if you're limited just in your individual quality. This is no offense, it's just a fact. Then they are trying to do something out of it. And they got some dangerous strikers. I remember, what's his name? I think it's Saad, that guy that played in the Regionalliga, in the 4th tier in German football just a year ago.
Mhm.
And now on the in the regular base is usually starter for St. Pauli, and he started versus RBL as well back in those days. And we have to keep an eye on him. Of course, Johannes Eggestein too, and Gia Vogi. Yeah, it's not that Gia Vogi that we saw at Wolfsburg for a few seasons, but it's another one, just the same name. But they are not that bad in their attacking department individually. Somehow, when they manage to create some nice actions around or in the penalty box, they're shooting a lot, but they are lacking to hit the target properly. Just like this example I just explained with the Irvine header in the game versus us. And their defense, I think they have a really well played block together. So the defense contains of their goalie Vasilis, the national goalie of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and he saved a penalty this season. So, and by the way, he saved 3 out of 8 penalties in his career. So please, lads, don't let it come down to penalty shootout. This doesn't seem like a good, what's the name in English? Vorzeichen?
Odds.
Okay, thank you. The odds low if it comes down to a penalty shootout, at least if you look at how the goalie of St. Pauli is performing. But now that our non-penalty killer Pete is out and Van der Voort is in, maybe he is better keeper on penalties. We will hopefully not gonna see that.
Yeah.
But the defense contains of the number 2, 5 and 8. So Hauke Wahl, Karol Metz and Manolos Saliakas. Almost every game they're starting in this with a 3 defense, 3 center defender block, and they're added by the number 8 Eric Smith. Eric Smith is usually the center back. Number 2 I mentioned is Saliakas, who is usually the right back or the right winger, but with more duties in defending. And number 23 Philipp Treu only does minor changes from game to game within the midfield on the first row. You're surely depending on how their opponent's gonna approaching things or starting things on the pitch. So what I'm trying to say is, I think this team, and we talked about it in our Bundesliga game preview, is most of their lads is playing together since the second Bundesliga, where they managed to be promoted, and it seems that they are getting used to the tempo and the playing style of the Bundesliga better from week to week. And this is a trap game for us, right? Because we cannot win. We can succeed and go into the next round. But if you're going off the pitch with like 3, 4, 5-0, what is not going to happen? And everyone is like, okay, yeah, we are the multi-million euro club in the Champions League participant, in the dark side. And okay, this is just normal that you're shooting those minor clubs out of the park. But on the other hand side, there is, I would not say a decent chance, but there is at least a limited chance that the St. Pauli lads might succeed here, because I expect our coach to put on the rotation machine. Rotations galore, we talked about it in our last episode. And St. Pauli most likely won't, because they ain't got no Doppelbelastung. They ain't got no Wednesday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday weeks. So they usually only got 1 game a week, and this extra game won't harm them much in terms of being exhausted or something like that. So to wrap things up here, I expect a tough game for us because I think at least 7 or 8 changes we will face in whole lads. And, if you're putting up so many new players, usually the quality in playing style decreases a bit. And St. Pauli is hard to beat. They are not a Schießbude, so they are not conceding that many goals. 11 goals only. It's the 4th place, ranked tied with some other teams in the league. Yeah, and it's going to be a tough one, as I said. So what do you expect?
I expect similar to you, a very tough game as well. Plus, you talked about rotation galore. And I always keep thinking in the back of my mind, well, how many players do we have to really rotate? And Marco Rose did note or did remark or this already or predicts already that there is going to be quite a bit of a rotation, but it's going to be a tough game. In terms of score, I am optimistic actually. I think we're going to get away with a 2-0 win. Not sure if this is going to happen in regular time or if it does need the overtime, but to be honest, I just hope it's done in 90 minutes and it's going to be an RB Leipzig win. How about you?
Yeah, it's 2-0 is my prediction too. I got my notes here. And are you ready for my starting 11?
Starting 11. Let's go.
Liebe Fußballfans, wir kommen jetzt zu unserer heutigen Mannschaftsaufstellung.
Of course, Mr. 100%, Martin van der Voort in our goal. I think the rotation in our defense is just slightly. I would like to see Retreder from the beginning next to Orban. Orban seems like fit as always. Mm-hmm. I think Lukiba will get a break. I think the change to Bichabou in the last game. Yeah,
Sorry.
Seemed like, okay, come on, get out and get some playing time. You have to start versus St. Pauli. So Bichabou next to Orban as our center back and Klostermann as a left back.
Yeah.
Defensive midfield, Elmas and Vermeeren. Come on, Elif. Come on, show us what you got. I wouldn't change our offensive midfield, so Nusa and Baumgartner again, and then I would like to see Silva and Paulsen. Paulsen as our wall player, and maybe, so I told you now this in a 4-2-2-2 formation, but as I saw it versus Freiburg, it was like more a 4-3-3, and I find it quite okay, and I would like to see it again. So like Elmas, Vermeeren and Nusa on the same level, and then Silva, Paulsen and Baumgartner, with Paulsen in the middle of these 3 guys being the wall player. So long balls either through the air or just on the pitch, and then Paulsen with the usually what he can do best with the back to the net, and then trying to slow things down a bit and playing nice passes for Silva or either Baumgartner. So I would like to, that's my approach in that game. We will see.
This would be really interesting. I didn't see that coming, but I'm also particularly pleased with Silva's performance when he came on the pitch versus Freiburg. And I'm very pleased that he had an assist. So maybe that is a good way for him to build up his confidence. If he can help us, why not? You can tell from the crowd, everybody still loves him. So looking forward to that.
I liked what I saw too from Silva, but honestly, when I was rewatching it today, he didn't do much. He didn't do more than necessary. It was a nice assist, to be fair. I don't want to blame him, but if you look at him in real life, it's like, okay, he was walking too much.
Do you think I had rose-tinted glasses? Okay, there you go. Anyways, so looking forward to moving to the next round, guys. You got to scrape through 1-0, 2-0. We'll take it all, but avoid penalty shootout. That's what we try to tell you. This has been a shorter episode on this Sunday of Bulls and Red, our RB Leipzig podcast at home in Leipzig, made for you wherever you are. You can follow us on Twitter. Our name is podcast_RBL. We're on Instagram, Bulls in Red, and you can contact us by email. The email address is podcast@bullsandred.com. We're available on all platforms like Apple, Spotify and Co, and also YouTube. And we will be back later this week with our regular episode when we look at this cup game, but also ahead to the clash with the Bumblebees again. Oh my God. So thank you, Richard.
Another trap game coming up.
Yeah, why not? Although at home, they are a little bit better, I heard. You never know. But anyways, Richard, vielen Dank. And the rest that I'm going to say now, have a nice, good start to the new week. And auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs.